Hello, welcome back to Hunter Tune. Today we're going to be working on this EG hatchback. This car has an LS Vtec stock engine. It just has the Vtec head on the non-Vtec bottom end. Has a what appears to be just kind of a basic eBay turbo manifold, ram horn. These ones, I don't know if this is the thin one or not, it kind of seems like it. These ones are kind of prone to cracking, so definitely he'll have to keep an eye on that after the tune, just to make sure that the manifold's not cracking, because once they crack, you'll lose horsepower, you'll lose spool time, and you'll obviously hear like a ticking under the hood if any of this does crack or have issues. Has a Turbonetics wastegate, and it looks like a Garrett turbo actually. Yeah, it's got a Garrett turbo. Looks like a 50 trim or whatever. Like this turbo is like a basic, like the basic eBay 50 trim. This is the Garrett version of that. So, and then it looks like it's got like a 2.5 or 3 inch exhaust going down, and it is a full exhaust all the way out the back. It's got a Turbo Smart blow-off valve, Hunter tuned normal style truck injectors installed into this Benin Industries fuel rail, Skunk 2 Pro Series intake manifold. Everything else, like I said, is stock. So engine wise, nothing going on in there. So first things first is we'll have to get this thing strapped down. I'll have to go through it a little bit, check what spark plugs are in it, check the oil, coolant, verify like vacuum lines and stuff like that. But yeah, so we're gonna get to it. This car does run right now, and I'll probably start it to pull it onto the dyno here and show you how it's running currently. Obviously when you put bigger injectors in your car, you need to tune for them to tell the computer that they are bigger injectors, because currently the car probably still thinks it has stock 240cc injectors. It probably thinks it has 240cc injectors, and when you triple the amount of flow, it's going to be 3 times as rich, if that makes sense. So instead of only having 1 cup of fuel, you're having 3 cups of fuel, and the engine airflow has not changed. So if that makes any sense, you gotta tell it that you're giving it 3 cups of fuel instead of 1 cup. All right guys, so I got this little EG all strapped down on the dyno, and she's not running too good right now. Very rich, smoky. Pull it onto the dyno and it was just like, it wouldn't even barely stay running. So I have all the spark plugs out of it, and I actually put a map in it already. Pulled the spark plugs to kind of see what was going on, and these are the plugs that were in it. Sorry for my dirty little shelf here, but these are the spark plugs that were in the car. So this is probably just from running without a tune, and the big injectors like I was saying. So those are all fouled out, like they're not even sparking. I pulled them out, and 3 out of the 4 were wet, like they weren't firing, and 1 of them was just black and dry. So I'm going to be putting a brand new set of plugs in it to start off here. These are BKR 7E plugs, brand new, ready to go in. I'm just going to gap them down to about 18-20 thousandths, throw them in the car, and then we'll fire it back up again and see if it still runs like crap or not. Alrighty guys, found out why the car wasn't running very well and why it was running so rich. As you can hear now, it's running good. It's running how it's supposed to. The tune actually was set up for a 4-bar map sensor, and this car has a stock map sensor. So I don't know, I kind of looked right past the map sensor on the tune, and now having it set for the stock map sensor, it runs perfect. So I have a base map in it right now. It's tuning on HTS with a chipped ECU. I have the ECU opened up, and I got my laptop out, and we are going to dial this thing in and see kind of how much power she's going to make with this little LS Vtec. So with this base map, we are running a little rich at idle right now, but it is smooth and steady, so we are able to actually start adjusting stuff on the tune. So we're gonna have to adjust, probably pull about 15% out of idle, below 1,000 RPM. And then if you notice here, above 1,000 RPM, I'll just bring the RPM up ever so slightly. That's about the same. So we're gonna pull it probably below 2 grand. These light load areas, idle, stuff like that, we're gonna have to pull out, like I said, probably about 15% or so. So I'm gonna start with doing that, and then we'll walk into cruising and wide open throttle, kind of see where everything else needs to be too. So I'm gonna drive this thing just a little bit. So it looks like we're about 1250 cruising, 1260. Boost looks like it's gonna be fine. Here's cruising about 50 mile an hour. Yeah, we're gonna have to pull about 10% out of almost everywhere before boost. And right tipping into boost, we'll have to add a little bit, because right when I hit the throttle, right when I went to the floor, it was like 13.5 or 14. So I'll probably add in a little bit there. I'm just kind of making mental notes of what to do on the map right now, because unfortunately my ostrich is not working. So I have to pull the chip out to make adjustments. So I'm gonna do that quick. So we'll pull the chip. It's kind of funny. I don't usually ever see ECUs actually mounted where they're supposed to be. This one was. So I was like, holy crap, it's actually got all 4 bolts holding the computer in. I'm even guilty of that. I throw it under the carpet half the time. So I'm getting my chip installed into the ostrich that has seen better days. It doesn't even have a case anymore. So here is our map for HTS. This is the low cam side. So we're gonna start by adjusting our cruising and low or high vacuum areas. All right, so we're gonna start by pulling. You can see these numbers here. This is kind of what I go off of, at least. You can see the numbers are like 176, then it goes down to 163, and then cruising it gets even less. So like typically, as the engine increases in RPM, it's gonna get more efficient, and you're gonna need less fuel going up in RPM. And then going this way on the load, you're always going to need more fuel. And then depending on the camshaft and stuff like that, you'll start tapering fuel out up top too. But it's all kind of build dependent on what it's going to want, where it's going to want it. Pull out some there. Pull out some there, so these are going to be like around 150 now instead of 170. You can see that I adjusted here. And then we'll probably even pull out another like 10% down here. Just because when it was cruising before, it was a little rich. So now I think our cruising should be pretty close. I'm going to stab in some fuel like in these regions. This map was already set up on another car, so it's a little easier for me to make these like small adjustments like this. I'll take this and then turbulate it. I'll take these and I'll blend it in. Interpolate by row. There we go. So we should be fairly good. Like I said, I stabbed some more fuel into it right coming in to boost. So we'll try this map out. I'm going to save this file. So go to save. Save as. To, sure. Just took the same file and I added a 2 to it. I'm gonna go to Flash and Burn software here. We're gonna erase the chip. We're gonna load the file that we just saved right here. and then we're going to program chip. So now we'll close this out, grab our chip, put it back in the car. Alright, back in the car now. Fire this thing back up. See where we're sitting. Might have pulled a little too much out. You can hear it popping a little. Oh, I was close. I was real close. But they'll probably want to idle around a 14. This is kind of bobbing 14.8 to 15.5, 15.6. So, I'll probably end up putting 5% back in, idle at least. We'll kind of see where everything else is going to be at. Wow. Damn. Really almost perfect. So above like 3,500, you can see right here, it's like 12.7, 12.8, and that's what I was talking about. Like as the engine increases in RPM at like the same load access, eventually it's going to start wanting less fuel. So I think above like 3 grand or 3,500, I'll probably have to pull out another 5-10%. But for the most part, lower RPM, 2 grand, we're pretty close. 13, 14. You can see 3,500, how it's just starting to get richer and richer. Now we're close to 4 grand. We're already in the 12s, mid 12s. See how wide open is here. Wide open was looking spot on. So we'll have to make a little bit more adjustment on cruising. Let this thing slow down here. We could do a dyno run real quick. The cruising stuff being a little rich isn't really gonna affect the overall power, so we'll just try to make the cruising stuff as efficient as I can. So we're gonna go on here, make a dyno run. Alright. So got my keyboard ready to go. We're gonna monitor boost. We have our boost cut on the tune actually at like 10 pounds or 11 pounds or something like that. I'm gonna be watching the boost gauge and the wideband here to make sure we're not gonna like overshoot or anything. See, some of this cruising is like perfect. And I'll use these reference points, so like 3 grand with like, I would probably say like 15 of 15 inches of vacuum. I'll kind of use that as a reference to see how much fuel it has in those spots and kind of take that amount and apply it to the other spots that are rich. So I'm gonna do a rip here, start at 3 grand, start the log. This thing fucking steaming. Ooh. You're ripping. Wow. That was a quick 120 like nothing. I saw 10 pounds of boost on the gauge. Like right on 10 pounds. And that air fuel up top was like spot on. 1120, I think. It was a little rich maybe, but like 11.0 I think I saw. But it is on pump gas, so I'd prefer to keep it a little richer on pump gas. That's probably a good idea. But this thing, wow. That, she came to life when Vtec cracked. Holy crap. let's kind of see where we're at for power. 10 pounds on an LS Vtec with the tune being that close already. I wouldn't see why we can't see 300 wheel already, or close to it. Oh, dude, holy fuck. We just made 355 wheel horsepower, 10 pounds of boost or so, LS Vtec with an 11.0 air fuel. 355. Wow. Pump gas too. Making that much horsepower, I'm probably going to leave the air fuel alone. I'm going to adjust some other small stuff. I might pull out 5% up top on the fueling. And I'm also going to lower Vtec a little bit because you can see where Vtec comes in, it kind of shoots up. I'm going to try to lower V because it looks like Vtec's right around like 4,500. I'm going to try to shim it down to like 4,200 and see if we can get that curve even smoother in the mid-range. So those are going to be adjustments I'm going to do this time. I'm going to change the Vtec from 45 to 42. Or wherever it is, I'm going to pull out 500 out of Vtec, or a couple hundred out of Vtec, and then I'm going to maybe give it a smidge less fuel way up top and see where that gets us. If that gives us more power, I may leave it or keep it rich and keep it safe. I'll talk to the customer, see what he wants. He wanted 300 horsepower, and I mean, first pull in, we're making like 350. Oops. So I may also play with timing a little bit, just because I may pull out some timing, realistically pull it out and see if it loses, because I want to run the least amount of ignition on this pump gas car as I can, because if it ain't benefiting the car, don't leave it in. Alright guys, so I just got the chip back in the car. Vtec is now at 4,300. It was at 48, so I pulled 500 out of Vtec, and I also changed some cruising fueling, and I'm going to do another run with the same fuel that was in it before, just because I'm probably going to leave it rich, being on pump gas making this much power. If it was on E85, I'd run an 1180 air fuel, 1150, 12.0, but pump gas, no. She does chooch a little, just like any Honda, right? It could be because the exhaust is full of all that fuel from before, but and it's just got to kind of burn off. Or it could need a turbo seal or something like that, but it's still making a good power, I bet. Oh my gosh, we even made more power. And look at the Vtec adjustment that I did. You can see here how it got literally flat, just freaking picked up big power right here. Maybe not, didn't pick up big power, but it did do exactly what I thought it was going to, and smoothen the curve out. So if we compare the curve, so this is what the curve looks like now, and this is what it looked like previously. So that to that is what we did. And I ran it to the rev limiter, which is 7,600 on this, which don't really like spinning the stock bottom end that high, so I kind of cut them off a little early. It'd make more power if we revved it a little higher, but 374 horsepower. Air fuel was like an 11.0. I'm gonna leave it. This thing, man, makes really good power. That Garrett turbo, putting in work. Also, believe it or not, this turbo is probably right in its efficiency range because it's properly sized for this engine. It spools up good. I'll show you the torque here. It makes 300 foot-pounds of torque. And I'll show you wheel torque here. Yeah, there we go. So I mean, we're peak torquing. We got a pretty big window. Pretty big window of power from 5 grand all the way to fucking 7,500 here. Just all peak torque. So as soon as this thing hits Vtec, it's going. It's going. But yeah, simple little setup. Easy tune today. And yeah, customer should be pretty stoked. If he doesn't want this much power, he's gonna have to replace the wastegate spring and go with something smaller. Because this gate spring, it's as low as boost as I can run with it. Alrighty guys, so I got that tune done on the EG hatch with the stock LS Vtec. Made almost 400 horsepower on pump gas with the stock map sensor. I believe we were around 11 or 12 pounds of boost at the end of the day there. And yeah, cutting it off early. Obviously it would have made more power if we would have revved it, but I probably could have made 400 horsepower with it, but stock engine, the guy only wanted 300, and you know, we may have over delivered a little bit, but pretty stress-free tune on this car. It ended up working out pretty good, minus the little bugs with my ostrich not working. I had to use the chip burner and pull the chip out every time I made adjustments, but after a few chip adjustments, we were right on the money because I had a couple good base maps already saved from doing a couple other of these cars with the normal style Hunter Tune truck injectors. And yeah, and it ended up working up pretty good. So thanks for watching the video, guys. I just got my Grom up and running. It's my Honda Grom. I just got it up and running with the 223cc billet cylinder from Mo Power. Mike O'Connell, I think is his name. He ended up selling me a cylinder and doing some case work, boring the connecting rod for the wrist pin, and a whole ton of other cool stuff for this bike. So I can't wait to show you more on this if you guys are excited. Also, the trailer is in the driveway at my house because we're heading up to the racetrack again tomorrow for Friday night street drags up at Wisconsin International Raceway. So definitely be on the lookout for another video coming soon with the Black Betty Mustang. I got a little bit more suspension stuff figured out on it, so I'm hoping the car goes even faster than it did its first time out on a track surface. Went 880, pretty much third pass on the car. So I'm hoping to improve on that tomorrow and go even faster and hopefully ride some wheelies and just go fast. Have fun, stay safe, and just have a good time. So thanks for watching the video, guys. Have a great night and a better tomorrow. A ton of updates coming. Tegra, Grom, Mustang. I got an EF Civic now. Been putting out more videos, so I'm hoping you guys are enjoying them. And yeah, all the bullshit aside in the world, I'm hoping to bring you guys some joy. Have a great night and a better tomorrow. We'll see you later.